Super Glove Ball. Reach a new dimension in gameplay. And welcome to Nostalgia, a chronological exploration of every NES game released in North America. I'm Mike.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Joe.
Guys, before we talk about the game, we have to talk about the glove behind the game. This is actually the only, if you think about it, but technically I guess there's like one other that we've already reviewed. This is the only Power Glove game.
It's very strange. It's sort of the legendary thing that never was, in my opinion.
It's also like, I get like, oh, it failed or whatever, but like, did they just bet on it with one game? Like, they didn't have like a series of launch like games in development.
Joe, that's exactly what I was thinking, because this is the equivalent of like, you know, like in another universe, the Wii only ever had Wii Sports ready to go. They were like, we're not going to make any other motion controlled games. We're just going to see if, you know, the tennis and the bowling hits off or not.
Yeah, really.
And I think before this, like seeing how this game is supposed to be played, I wasn't really even sure what the Power Glove was even supposed to do. Like, I didn't even know that there was any kind of motion tracking involved. I thought it was just a way to wear a controller. So I was actually kind of surprised to learn that it was somewhat functional.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you look at the glove, right, it goes up to about halfway up your arm too. So it's a long glove, and that's because it also has the controller base, past your wrist and everything. So it has a lot of tech
style
on
power.
It. It's not just it's not like a Wiimote that you just like hold in your hand and it has motion detection, which was also, to Nintendo's credit, that Wiimote made it seem like it was doing a lot more than it actually did. I feel like the Power Glove, which wasn't an official like Nintendo thing, it was with Mattel. The Power Glove actually has a lot more tech than it appears on first glance. Because I agree, Sean, when I finally looked into like, well, how is the glove tracking your place and everything? That's where things got really interesting, because the glove has speakers on the back of the hand that emit high-frequency sound pulses to sensor bars. There are 2 sensor bars that you put near your TV, and those have microphones that pick up, basically they detect the time delay of the pulses coming from the microphone in the glove to the microphones by this TV
this
speakers.
Wasn't light?
No, it's not light at all. It's using sound.
Okay.
And that's probably why it has mixed results, but like, doesn't that just sound incredible? Like, just like, obviously whether it works or not is a different story, but like the tech is like really interesting.
This one blows my mind more so than the light gun. The light gun I always found really interesting with the way that it, there's like a frame of white, and it can tell by there being like a lens that can tell if you're pointing at the frame of white light, whatever. Like, I just thought that was pretty cool, but I could get my head around it a lot easier than this. This, I'm just like, I can't get my head around the idea of 1990 hardware recognizing sound in space in a way that would track your glove in the way that like a Wiimote cursor does. Like, that just seems, first of all, like so many, like, I don't know anything about it, but that seems like you've taken the more difficult way to do this. I don't know the easier way, but it just, that seems wild to me, and I can't imagine it works as well as reports that I've read online say it works.
Well, I mean, I also have read that it doesn't really work that, like, I guess, like, at the most basic level, yes, it works. But does it feel good is definitely up for debate.
Right. I mean, because there's also, like, for me, and I guess sometimes this shows our young age instead of our actual age, like when I hear 1990, I'm like amazed that there were wireless NES controllers. I'm like, there's just no way that worked, right? But like, it's not that crazy tech. So Joe, I agree with you. To hear about like a glove that has some kind of motion capabilities, that's crazy. But it even has like tech beyond the sound stuff too. Like there were sensors in each of the glove's fingers to detect like the bending of each individual finger as an input, including like, you know, like making like closing your fist and making a punching motion had its own like registered effect as well. That you mount all this stuff along with the fact that you had to like put in a code for each specific game you were playing to like map the controller for that specific game. So like it's advertised in the commercial, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out and Super Mario Brothers, and you would put in a code so that it would make it so that like when you lift your hand, Mario will jump like for that specific input. Whereas like if you do the Punch-Out code, when you punch with a closed fist at the screen, you know, you will punch in the game. I think like that's another just like, whoa, this could sell. Like this could be a very convincing between the commercial and the plug-in with the movie, The Wizard. It appears in the movie, and it's funny because when it shows up in the movie, I don't remember the name of the character who reveals it, but he's like, you know, the Power Glove, it's bad. And it's like, I know what he meant. Like, like this is like one bad mamma jamma, but like, he actually just sounds like he's saying, this is the worst thing ever, but like, it's not.
I guess it's sort of like, you know, this story keeps, in terms of like technology, this story just keeps happening over and over because, and I wouldn't say that VR is bad, but it's not the way of the future like we thought it would be. And it's kind of playing around with the same technology and is sort of disappointing in the same way.
Now, Sean, is VR not the way of the future in the next 100 years? Is this one of those things where like we're just way too early in the idea of like VR being like, I feel like I'm in the world of Grand Theft Auto and I can walk into those buildings? Like, is that more than 100 years away?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess like more so that whole like 20 minutes into the future kind of technology. Like we don't know how to really make it work in a full holistic design sense.
Right.
So,
it's similar to the Virtual Boy, right? Where it's like, you know, cool, like you could do this, but it's not, you know, or even the 3DS, right? Like the 3DS, I actually think the 3D is really cool and I do try to use it. But even Nintendo eventually just released a version called the 2DS where they were like, yeah, we just forgot about the 3D part. And all the games still work.
Yeah, well, and that's what, like, designing a game around your gimmick, if you, and that's maybe not the nicest term to call it, but designing a game around your gimmick is so important, where, like, when you're describing right now, like, Punch-Out being used for it, that sounds really cool, because Punch-Out is about punching, but it's not designed around this glove, so it's like, yeah, you close your fist and make a punching motion, and he punches. What happens if you open your fist? You know, like, there's no reason to not have your fist closed the whole time, and, like, that makes it almost, like, trivial, where it's like, if Punch-Out was designed with this in mind, maybe there could be some other things. There's like a grapple or something. I know you don't grapple in boxing, but you know, like there's something that you can do with, you know,
you can kind of hang
game
off
that has
of
a
him
closed
for a second.
fist. What'd you say?
You can kind of hang off the guy for a second in boxing.
Yeah, I guess that's but like it's not like an open hand attack. You're not grabbing with your open hand, is what I mean. But like you can design a game where like you're using more of the elements with it, and I think Super Glove Ball is trying to do that a little bit, but not having other games that do that is just like a weird. It's like it was dead on arrival.
I mean, I kind of disagree because I think that just in the sense that Super Glove Ball is playing with more of the elements, I guess. I think that this is so. The concept is so focused that it, and I guess this is now actually talking about the game instead of the hardware. It's so focused that it feels more like a tech demo for the Power Glove than, and almost like the most obvious thing you would think to do with it, as opposed to like an interesting and innovative way to use the technology.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the most. I'm just saying there's more than. It's more than like a punch isn't just like a replacement for the A input, and I guess actually as I'm saying it, I guess it sort of is in Super Glove Ball because you can use a
Yeah,
controller.
literally.
But like, I guess there's just you can move your hand, you can open and close your hand, and you can move in Z space. It just feels a little more robust than just plugging it into an existing game. But like, I don't disagree with you. I don't think that this was like this isn't the what do you call it? The PlayStation mascot that's
Knack?
No, the more recent one that
I
just
think
got
you
a
mean
full
Knack.
game. Yeah,
everybody's always talking about Knack, but yeah, you're talking about Astrobot, right?
Astrobot. This isn't like the Astros Playroom tech demo of the PS5, but it's like a small iterative step above just replacing a controller with this.
Well, so the Power Glove, right, it as an accessory, Super Glove Ball as a game puts you in the, as the player, you are the glove, right? But like, I guess theoretically in Duck Hunt, right, you're the gun too, right? They just don't show you a gun on screen, but like, it does make sense that you would, in like the game that it comes out with, you would be something that involves using your hand on screen to, like coordinate within a 3D space because, again, the tech is theoretically supposed to be tracking your X, Y, and Z positions. Whether it actually does that or not, we could talk about later. But, like, I guess this is, like, the right way. Like, what else would you do with the Power Glove? I think that it's weird that they didn't throw out a commercial focused on Super Glove Ball and how like it works with the actual glove hand in the game, and instead they were like, yeah, you can jump as Mario. Like, sure, you can, but that's totally fake, and that's basically like, I don't know how there's not like a class action lawsuit against them for that kind of shit, because that's not, Mario was never designed with that in mind, and the game barely works with that in mind. So like, I think, and we can get into the actual game now, Super Glove Ball as like the introduction to like how the Power Glove works is the most obvious thing. It shouldn't be some kind of like weird platformer where like you also have your, like if you're wearing the glove on your right arm, you also have your left arm like holding on some D-pad on your wrist to like move in positions and then like use your fingers to fire off different special abilities. Like, it does make sense to have something that tracks in 3D space, because this is trying to do a lot of cool things at once. It's doing the whole like 3D thing. It's doing the each one of your fingers can be, controlled. And then it's also doing this like puzzle action game where you have to in real time play this like first person 3D block breaking maze game, kind of like, I don't know, Breakout meets real life or something.
Yeah, I guess like what I would say to that, and why I think like, yes, this is the most obvious application of this hardware, is that may be true, but where do they go from here? Like, do they just have a series of games where you control a glove? Like, does the character Super Glove like just end up in, like, if this did hit, like if this did sell well, is there now just a series of games?
Yeah, I guess you go into like a series of first-person games, right? Like you could have done
you only
a beat 'em
control
up
with one hand.
Yeah, but you could have done like a beat 'em up, right? Where you punch, but you walk around, and then I don't know how you would walk though. Yeah, it's a good point, Sean.
I mean, you could do some. I mean, there'd be gimmicky. You could do some
walk
like
around with
cheap
your fingers.
Sports games. You can do like tennis, or like other sports.
Yeah. Throw a basketball.
Yeah, one-handed whole basketball game.
Here's how you should have, like, what was the game? The other game was Bad Street Brawlers.
Bad Street Brawler, which is crazy, right? Because we reviewed that game in 2022.
Yeah.
Like, it feels so long ago, but that's just how this podcast works. It actually only came out a year before Super Glove Ball, which is funny because it's like, so when did the Power Glove come out? If Bad Street Brawler works with it, it was retroactively like fitted into it. So you have Bad Street Brawler releases, the Power Glove releases on its own, not with like Super Glove Ball as a pack-in, and then Super Glove Ball comes out. So they really did mean for this thing to just be like a new controller for your NES. Yeah.
So this is the only game that was designed for it.
Correct.
Yeah, and like using this as a controller for games that already exist just feels weirdly like like you're just it's like this weird Minority Report thing where you're just like doing these other motions with your hand that don't translate. I haven't played any of them, so like maybe they translate really well. It's just jumping as Mario by what do you lift a finger, or like how do you? It just doesn't make any sense. It's not intuitive.
Yeah.
And there's the rub.
Going into Super Glove Ball, the one-sentence description, you control a floating glove in a wireframe room, ricocheting balls off walls to break panels, uncover items, and move from room to room. Sounds pretty simple, sounds like your standard action puzzle game with motion controls, but remember, we're on the NES days. However, it wouldn't be such a simple game if it didn't have a convoluted story, right? A reason for existing at all. And that is exactly what the manual delivers to us. You are a scientist trapped in a virtual maze due to a space-time experiment gone wrong. Your mission, escape from the glove dimension by navigating across the various rooms, battling energy spheres, and collecting special orbs along the way. You'll dodge hazards, gather other power-up things, and you have to search for the actual exit hidden somewhere in the not just side-scrolling, but multi-dimensional grid. That is if you ever bother to get past the first room of this game, of which it could take you some time, because I was given the opportunity 2 years ago to play with a Power Glove, Super Glove Ball, and I would like to speak with my experience because it was so borderline that I decided I did not need to buy a Power Glove again to test it out. One, because I didn't believe I could find a working one, just like we never found a working Power Pad. But also because the experience of playing with the Power Glove was one that it was like, it was cool that it was working at all, but it was surprising how, like, I don't even want to say sensitive, because it would just click in and out. Like, it would track you for maybe like a second or two, and then you would just like, either your glove would freeze in the space that it was currently in, or it would just glitch over to like an area that like you couldn't have possibly have been in with your own glove, because the way that the game wants you to play it is actually the most boring way you can think of it. When you imagine playing with a Power Glove, you imagine like probably standing up, moving around, swatting your hand left and right. No, it wants you to like sit in a chair, rest your elbow on the, on the chair, and just kind of like slowly, like as if you were moving like a crane game, slowly move your arm like that. And any more force than that, and you are basically breaking the Power Glove.
Yeah, this sort of reminds me of, and forgive me for going a bit off topic here, but so I bought a Wii, many years after the Wii. This was only a couple of years ago, mostly just because I wanted to play Silent Hill Shattered Memories. So I bought the Wii secondhand off eBay, and I was trying to find a Wiimote, and I was like, oh, people, sell knockoff Wiimotes on Amazon, so that'll be cheap, and that'll get here soon. And so I bought it, and it had that extra piece that you put in to make it more sensitive or something.
Oh, the Wii Motion Plus.
Sure, that. And it was actually just like hard, soldered into the thing. You couldn't take it out. And so for 70% of the time I'm playing this game, it was exactly as you described, because it was so goddamn sensitive, and I had to hold my arm to make sure that I was being accurate until finally the one that I bought off, the real OEM one that I bought off of eBay, finally got here weeks later, and I could finally play the game, and it felt like a real Wii controller. And man, if it's like that, if it's that if playing Super Glove Ball when it launched was just as erratic as that, I don't know how long I could do it.
I can promise you, just from my experience and also watching other people's YouTube experiences, it basically is one of those things that it's so exciting that it works at all, but it never works consistently. I didn't watch one YouTube video where somebody was like, yeah, actually, here's the trick. You just have to put the microphones over here, You know, like not
Yeah.
too close to the TV, but like if you put them here, they'll read. It doesn't matter how wide you stretch them across or how far or close you sit to the TV. It's just way too sensitive and just way too random that for something, especially that's happening real time, like Super Glove Ball, a real time puzzle action game, you can't rely on your hand like being tracked accurately enough to keep catching this ball and throwing it back where you need it to in order to break all the panels in these rooms.
Which is interesting because, you know, how I assume Joe played this game as well as I used the controller, and I'm sure you did as well. And
I did.
Yeah, so
Joe used a towel.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I used a blanket, I wrapped it around my hand. It's versatile.
And it's really not. I mean, okay, with the controller, it actually controls. You can move the glove around with more ease than I would have expected. Like the whole like Z space thing is still a part of the game. You can mostly do everything that you can do with the actual Power Glove in just much more of a like digital way. And even then, though, like it's hard to go throw the ball where you're trying to throw it, or hit the ball where you're trying to throw it.
Yeah, because it's hard to tell, like, what if, you know, if I'm moving to the left and I release, sometimes the ball goes, like, to the left, but sometimes it just goes straight from where I'm... So it's hard to tell, like, what my momentum does and, like, how, you know... And I got to imagine it's even more confusing when you're actually using a glove, because then it really feels like your momentum... You know how to throw a ball, so, like, it feels like... And I know you're not going fast enough to feel like you're throwing a ball, but, like, you know how the real world works. So it does feel weird when you release expecting it to go in one direction just intuitively and it doesn't. A little awkward.
I think there's a couple things going on here, and one of them is just how it actually portrays that depth. Like, I don't think that there's all that many different sprites being used for how big the ball is to your perspective, which caused me to just like basically let it changes color once it's like in like a danger zone, but it would just like completely phase through my hand at points, I feel like. And also just that there are only so many different vectors and velocities that the ball can go. Like, I felt like I just kept hitting the same squares over and over. Did this happen to you guys?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it took, and maybe this is because I didn't use the Z space, but it took me forever to clear that first board. I mean, forever. And I didn't even realize you could kind of move in Z space. Maybe that until a little later, but like maybe that would have sped it up a little bit. I don't know if that helped you guys. You can kind of
cheat. Like, it's basically pushing the light gun against the TV.
Yeah.
Right, because so you control the glove, whether it's through your standard NES controller or with this Power Glove. You control the glove around the room, trying to like bounce the ball back to either hit the enemies or hit the panels, because you have to reveal all the panels to be able to move past that particular wall. But then you can also catch the ball and aim it more precisely where you want to throw it next. But even that didn't feel like it was like, okay, I have the ball in my hands and now I'm going to move it over to this panel. It still has like, maybe it's because of the 3D space and everything, but it doesn't have like perfect accuracy. So it does kind of become that Breakout thing where, like, you know, in Breakout where there's like one brick left and you have to like start hitting it on like the perfect diagonals against your own slider to make sure that it like hits the area. Otherwise you're just kind of playing tennis against the wall, hoping that it hits that one block. It kind of becomes like that. But keep in mind, this isn't just like, oh, keep hitting the wall in the back of the room, right? Like, this is hit the top of the wall, hit the right side of the wall, hit the bottom wall. Like, there are panels everywhere, and there's enemies always spawning too. And at first, it's kind of just like, I don't even know if these enemies, like, are they going to come at me? Like, are they going to attack me? Do I have to hit them? And then eventually it's just like, they're eating me alive. Like, I'm done. I'm dead.
Yeah, and as far as that, you know, that comparison to Breakout, to that last brick in Breakout, it is so much like that, except the only difference is it's way harder to read, like what we were talking about before. So like that combined, in Breakout, at least it feels, I can feel like, all right, I know what I got to do, and like it's satisfying when I do it. Sometimes in this game, I'm just like, oh, I guess I hit it there. I don't know how. I think it just happened finally.
Yeah, and sometimes when it interacts with the enemies, it like the whole physics just breaks down, and like oh, I thought this hit it on the back, on the backboard, so it should be going back towards the opposite wall. But now it actually bounced off of him, and it's coming back to me, and I just lost a life, and now I gotta start the whole board over again.
So did you guys even get to the part where you explore the other rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't fast, but I did end up clearing some of, like, once you clear a wall, you can then push your glove into the far edge of that wall, and now you are in a new room. That room may be level 2, or it may be level 30, or it may be level 59. Who knows? I wasn't making a map. Maybe the reason that the Power Glove is only on one hand is so that your other hand can draw the map.
Mapping.
If this is the only game that this was designed for. But like, I wasn't paying attention to any kind of actual progression. I was just playing around with the different rooms, and I will grant that like the rooms all look kind of different. They all have different enemies in them. A lot of them have like weird puzzles happening that you may or may not actually grasp at the time. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't just stuck to level 1, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, it feels like there is actually a decent amount of thought put into game design of these levels, where it's not just a 3D Breakout clone. Like, there's a lot of puzzles and like other things that you're doing by using this mechanic that's kind of like a Breakout thing. But unfortunately, a lot of it, I think, is overshadowed by like the control of it. So like, I don't know. I'll say I didn't get very. I think I did like 2 rooms of this, and then I watched most of the rest of them with my blanket around my hand. But, it's a reference to, what was it, aerobics or whatever we played.
Anyway. Plenty of Power Pad games, but dancing aerobics was the one. I think.
Yeah. I just feel like I was a little bit blocked from being able to really enjoy the game design from it, because of surface level, I'm just like too focused on like, okay, what is this glove doing, and like how does this work? And I can't imagine how much more so I would think that would be the case if I was using an actual Power Glove.
Now, would you guys say that that the levels in this are more creative, less creative, or equally creative as Orb 3D?
Yes, that's a great question, because we did just play Orb 3D as well, and I kind of want to say it's less creative, but then
I want to say the same thing.
Yeah, but remember that they just created a whole new controller. Like, so if you disregard
well,
that,
they had to make the glasses, Mike.
No, I know, yeah. So it's true. If you disregard that, then these rooms essentially are functioning the same over and over again. Yes, I know that there are different power-ups, and there's even like specific tiles you can hit that open up like warp rooms, so this way you can jump ahead without having to complete the whole room. The most interesting thing is probably that there are also boss rooms and puzzle rooms. There isn't just like breakout rooms. So if you explore the game enough, you will find other rooms. It's not just like,
you might even find your room.
Yeah, right. Your room's in the game. Everybody's bedroom is in the game, and it's really scary. But Orb 3D was actually like creating really interesting
I agree.
like, scenarios where it was like, okay, spell this thing again by, like specifically hitting the same letters on the screen as the word we presented in front of you. Like, that's just one room. Then another room is knock down all 10 pins in 2 bowling shots. Like, that's pretty cool.
I'm honestly, since you've mentioned Orb 3D, which I wasn't on that episode, I've been kind of just sitting here slack-jawed watching footage of Orb 3D. Like, I had no idea this was such like a weird-looking game. I kind of wish I was on this episode.
Couldn't Orb 3D have been a Power Glove game? You just throw that ball instead?
You would need to have that third dimension. I mean, it does have that third dimension, but you don't actually get to interact with it in the same way.
So did this game need boss fights in puzzle rooms, though? Like, I guess it does for variety's sake, but, like, I gotta say, especially if you're using the Power Glove, but even if you're using a standard controller, I think this game gets kind of hard. I don't think it's I don't think it's like boring. I don't think it's like, oh, I got to the next room and now I have to do all this shit again. It's like, good luck doing all this shit again.
Okay, so I'm not going to call Super Glove Ball boring, but I don't think that that word is mutually exclusive with difficult. Like, I think that this is kind of borderline.
I don't know. I think I might call it kind of boring. I think it's interesting to think about, but I didn't. I mean, again, I didn't give it. Maybe this is unfair of me to say because I didn't give it like a huge chance. I only played 2 levels and then watched most of it. But I didn't have much.
No, I agree with you.
I'm more interested in watching someone play this than playing it myself.
I think that most of the enemies are really just like it's kind of more visual noise than anything. Like the actual higher concepts are in how like the room itself interacts, and a lot of the enemies, like, you can't even really tell what they even are, and they all kind of behave similarly. And most of the difficulty, though, is just coming from getting the goddamn ball into that one spot in the corner that doesn't matter how you bounce it, it's just not going to go there because it's a DVD menu bouncer thing. But, so yeah, I think that boring and difficult are not mutually exclusive.
So this isn't the most ambitious NES game that just happens to be sabotaged by its input method?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a binary I would not be on the other side of. But I'll say I think that it's impressive the amount of like creativity they put into for what they were working with, because like, yeah, you're just making this like 3D version of Breakout. It's like, oh, this is all cool concepts, but like, I don't know, the ball moves too slow and not in the right direction, and it just...
also too fast.
Joe, you say cool concept. Next question. There's no right or wrong answers to these questions, by the way. I'm just trying to move the podcast along. If this was re-released on the Wii, right? Actual motion controls, does it find an audience?
I think you need to speed it up. And yeah, obviously, if the motion controls are better, I think it could be fun.
Sure, you hit the plus button and you get
like
you get a mini map, so this way you can actually see where you are.
Yeah.
Everything's better with a mini map.
Isn't there a game that's all just mini maps?
Is there?
Gotta be some indie game jam game at least.
Yeah, but it's like a roguelike where the mini map always changes and you get the map pieces and you have to build a map and then I want the game that's just the whole screen is a map and just in the lower right corner is like a fully rendered like 3D environment. The player character doesn't have a name. Is that a problem? Like, would that have helped? You're just a scientist.
You're asking the right questions, Mike. How am I supposed to identify with this glove?
Right. It's just a narrative abstraction.
With my
arm. Am I
arm.
crazy though, or does the glove have a face like on the back of it?
I think those are thrusters.
Okay, because it looks like two kind of like angry eyes, a nose, and a mouth to me. Like right where you would put your hand through the glove. I'm noticing it like in the last 5 minutes for the first time. I didn't notice it while I was playing at all. It looks like a face looking at me, the player, rather than looking at where the glove is throwing.
If you look at the actual, like, the box art for this game, you see that there are actual, like, rocket thrusters on the back that are sort of lined up in that place that you're seeing eyes.
Yeah, Joe, what you're describing looks like an owl got stuck in the glove.
Yeah.
Like, probably canon.
I believe it's called pareidolia.
So there were two other Power Glove games that were in development at the same time, both canceled. Do you want to hear about them?
Go for it.
Okay. No. Yeah, actually they did. No, let's just move on. I don't know why that guy said no.
Just kidding.
Glove Pilot was one of them. Any guesses?
Do you control a ship with your arm?
You do, but it's not like a flight sim.
It's like Super Glove Ball.
Yeah, exactly. You have a hand and you like have a bunch of like made up levers, like literally no wheel or anything. It's just different levers and joysticks that you can grab and shift between like several on and off states. or there's actually there's an oxygen meter that you can turn a dial on. That's pretty cool.
You know what's so funny to me about this is that like pressing switches with the glove is just removing the physicality of the controller. Like you're just interacting with a digital controller now with the glove.
Welcome to VR gaming.
Yeah, they should have actually, Joe, they should have canceled Glove Pilot and just released a Pilot controller for the NES that you have to buy again for another $150 or whatever. And it's like, it only works with this game, but now you can switch the levers in real life.
All right, I've got a question, and this is, I'm gonna start with my answer, but like the question is, like, what game would you have pitched to actually try and move Power Gloves with like the killer app?
First person volleyball.
Well, I'm gonna go first. So
okay.
Too late. You didn't go first.
Okay, go ahead and explain first person volleyball.
Actually, I thought of one better.
All right.
Okay. Josh Allen's Quarterback Club 2025. And all you do is you just have like, you throw footballs, but you have to throw them exactly to like the correct, like the play has already been called. And it's like one of those like snap reflex games where you have to throw the ball before you get sacked.
Okay, I like that. Mine is you just get a bunch of people. They're all legally distinct people, but like they would be cultural figures of the early 90s, and you just get to like slap the shit out of them.
Like Spank the Monkey.
Basically, yeah. But like it would be, here's Greg W. Tree. Greg H.W. Tree.
Yeah, Greg H.W. Tree is going to be so pissed that you mentioned him on this podcast.
And then you would just get to smack him. And there'd be other characters, and maybe there'd be different like objectives for how you're supposed to beat the shit out of these people. But I think that'd be pretty cool.
Man, I'm really struggling to come up with a great suggestion here.
Joe, I can give you some time if you want.
Yeah, let me think on it while you explain the next one.
I'll tell you the only other canceled Power Glove game, which is not.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There was Super Glove Ball and there was Glove Pilot. All have glove in the title. This next one, The Terror of Tech Town. I'm not sure if anybody was looking for this, but this is another one where it would use the Power Glove. Players would move their robotic hand through corridors across a series of buildings and streets and such, interacting with, like, I guess, puzzles in the rooms to open doors and escape from the town. It's like an escape the room with a glove.
I mean, at least it's got something going on. It's not just Power Glove. I mean, that's not just Super Glove Ball.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Marble Madness. Now, I assume that like tilting is not involved in the glove, so you can't like. I was thinking the glove is the level.
That is
and
true.
You tilt.
Yeah, but theoretically it is. It's built in there theoretically. I don't think it actually works.
Okay. No. The original, like the original piece of like hardware that the Power Glove is based off of, that was like thousands of dollars, had pitch and yaw.
Yeah.
But the Power Glove itself does not.
Well, then if you're using the Power Glove without that, then I think you can imagine that your fist is like the fulcrum in which the whole level sits. So moving the fulcrum from one side to the other will change the way it's tilting.
I like that. I think that could still work with that.
I don't know why, but you just made me realize that, and maybe I said that, maybe one of us said this on the episode, Marble Madness is just like Super Monkey Ball is the natural evolution of Marble Madness, where instead of the marble, you now control the stage.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
You are the stage. You're the world.
I love Super Monkey Ball. We got to play that next time you guys are over.
Sure.
I'm in.
All right. And then last thing, I mean, I don't know if it's surprising anymore, but this is a Mattel creation, but Rare developed the game. So Rare's going out and bringing us Solar Jetman, Snake Rattle and Roll, and Super Glove Ball. Are they just like, are they allowed to be forgiven for this kind of stuff? Like it's just like they were given a failed thing and they did the best they could, or do they like share some of the blame here?
I think it's really funny that it kind of is foretold that they would eventually just be doomed to work on the Kinect, like with
Right,
this under their belt.
We love weird shit.
For sure. Just like the right weird shit.
Just like everyone who listens to this podcast loves the Essential Games List. I could do a double vote here, actually. So, Super Glove Ball is not an essential game, and it doesn't have to do with the failure of the Power Glove, because the Power Glove is not an essential accessory, and never will be. And actually, I really want to look into if there ever was a class action lawsuit against this thing, because I brought up Rare, and I really think Mattel should be more in trouble, but, like, you have to playtest this game. And you have to know that you're shipping a failed product. That's something that does not work. Like, does not work consistently enough. There has to be, like, a limit, right? So, when you're bowling in Wii Sports, I would say 9 times out of 10, everybody agrees that's how they threw the bowling ball, right? Like, nobody's like, man, that sucks. But there is that one time where it probably goes in the gutter and you're like, oh, no, I didn't mean to do that, right? Whatever. This game is like there's 1 time out of 10 where it has your correct position, and there's 9 times out of 10 where it's doing absolutely nothing you want it to do. And so shame on everyone involved for releasing this game, this expensive accessory. Shame on Nintendo for working it into that Wizard movie, which also had the premiere of Super Mario Bros. 3. Like, how are these two things happening together? The greatest thing and the worst thing, arguably, to happen to the NES are in the same movie. I don't know, but like, I don't think Super Glove Ball's problems are exclusive to just the fact that it runs on the Power Glove. I think the Breakout game thing was boring enough that we managed to talk about that for all of like 7 minutes, and the rest was the actual fun stuff where we talked about the tech, and like, I feel like that's what holds up today is like, if you do own a Power Glove, you will actually get some novelty factor out of it just by virtue of having friends and being able to show them just how silly this accessory is even today. So, like, I guess if you did buy it back in the day, you're getting your money's worth. I wouldn't recommend anyone go get this now, knowing what a piece of shit it is and how expensive it is. That's just crazy. So it's a double no. It's a no for a Super Glove Ball. It's a no for the Power Glove, but it's a yes for the NES, Essential Console. Let's just give it to that. Sean?
I do think it would be a really cool, like, thing to do as a society to actually, like, levy actual, like, penalties and maybe even, like do lawsuits for bad ideas, or even just, like, good ideas that weren't really executed properly. I think that would be a better world, as long as you're never on the wrong side of that. But I do blame Mattel. Mostly because I don't like the way that their logo is just sort of like copy-pasted wholesale, like not even trying to match the background onto the title screen. That's something that I just wanted to get out there, that like, just as a design situation, like, it really annoyed me. But I don't have any other new notes. Like, it's not fun, even with the controller. Mike has the experience with the actual glove, but it's just one of those things that's like, oh, that's neat, and then it's like, oh wait, no, it's not essential.
Joe?
Yeah, sometimes it's tough to do these after I've already called the game boring, but I think we know where it's going. I can understand why, like, releasing this game after playtesting it and knowing it's bad, I can understand someone still thinking like, hey, this will still do well on like the just on the like awe factor of technology we haven't really seen in games before. And that technology doesn't work, but I got to imagine there were a bunch of people who bought this and were like, this is the best thing ever, just off of the whoa, this is crazy factor. But I think that playing it with like a clear head now after we've had this kind of technology and everything, I mean, there's just, it can't be more apparent to me that this is, not a fun game. Even if there was some creativity behind it, it's just not executed well. So I'm going to say no.
All right, 3 no's. But you got to give it to them. It made for a fun episode, right? Lately, we've been having some bad games where it's mostly just bad things to say. But the Power Glove did give us a lot of entertainment out of this episode.
It's no Sesame Street Big Bird's Hide and Speak,
But shouldn't Big Bird's Hide and Speak have came with a microphone accessory where you have to talk back to Big Bird, kind of like, hey, you Pikachu?
Oh, could you imagine the terrible text-to-speech and speech-to-text that would entail?
Show us the technology.
That should be how you select things on the menu of Big Bird's Hide and Speak.
Yeah, you just say which option you want. You don't even have to select anything.
Turn around.
But no matter which option you say, it just goes down one.
Right. So you could just say, and just like, you're making the sounds that the bird makes as it moves from option to option.